Hello everyone, welcome to Argent Towers on this Friday evening. I hope you're both well. Myself, I am Michael Bailey. Paddy Devitt's actually busy. He spoke to Stuart Webber earlier today, so he is typing away frenetically to make sure everything gets out. And you'll probably start seeing that at about 6 o'clock over at PinkUn.com and all our other channels, so keep an eye out for that. The latest from Stuart Webber, the first time he's spoken since, of course, the January transfer window. Instead, I'm joined by our work experience student, who has been with us this week, who also attended Colney with myself and Pad, and his name is Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
We're not making those jokes.
No, not at all today.
No. Interesting fact: your dad's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
But your mum liked the name Alex.
Yeah. So she won.
There are no jokes that you can tell that Alex probably hasn't heard. But there we go. I think it's named after a footballing icon.
Yeah. Obviously, it'll go a long way in this job, hopefully.
Yeah, why not? You might get a couple of after-dinner gigs if you're lucky. You play cards right. So we will bring you the headlines from Colney, the big stories and some of the reactions, of course. Get your comments and questions in, and we'll discuss them together and hopefully give you a few pointers and answers. And we look forward to hearing your comments too. Tricky trip to Pride Park, of course, on Saturday. But the big news today, really, was Tom Trybull's injury. That's what I'm calling him, Tom Trybull, as you may want to hear him as. The injury that he picked up against Middlesbrough in a game, of course, where he just signed his 3.5-year contract and then scored a wonderful winning goal. I think it was a tackle early on in the game, so he played with it for a bit. The tackle meant that he injured his ankle ligaments. The player fell on Trybull, which meant that he damaged his knee ligaments. He doesn't need surgery, but he is going to be out for 2.5 months, possibly, which not only means he'll be back after I've already been and gone on paternity leave, but he's probably going to miss most of the rest of the season. He may just make the last few games. Bit of a blow, that, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, certainly. He's done well in the team, obviously. He's had an injury earlier in the season. He's played 16 games for us. He's started.
It's not many, is it?
No,
given the impact
many
he's made.
He's had. And in those games that he's started, we've won 50% of them, only losing 3 games. And for the return of games that we've had this season, only 12 wins. For the 4 games we've won, he hasn't been there.
So, I mean, he has made that sort of impact, and I guess that's kind of why he ended up with a new contract so quickly. And the problem is, in a way, we haven't seen enough of him this season anyway.
Not at all, no. You do wonder if he picked up that injury a few games earlier, would he have got that new contract? Would it have been something that have had to sort out with just based off training and what they'd seen with him earlier in the season?
Norwich would have had an option to sign Tom Trybull beyond into next season anyway, regardless, so it would have been in Norwich's hands. It's just a shame that maybe he's been a little bit injury prone this year, and when he has also felt really fit and healthy, ironically.
Especially when this is the season that he's really made his proper breakthrough, getting into the first team football, getting a good run of games. And really, he's been quite a big fan favourite this season. A lot of fans praising him, praised his performance, happy at the contract. And a lot of fans will be gutted to see that he might not finish the season through.
Indeed. The other interesting point is that a lot of fans have been kind of hoping that this current momentum that Norwich have had might actually deliver a surprise at the end of the season, and maybe possibly a top 6 push. It seems quite hard to imagine a top 6 push when the first thing that happens is you lose one of your better players.
Of course, yeah. When he'd got a good run in the team and we'd been getting the results together, we were averaging 2 points a game over our last 8 games, and with 16 games to go, it's just double the last 8 games we've played. If we can keep that up, then a playoff chance does look slightly possible.
I think that's about as exciting as we're getting. Slightly possible.
There's a lot of teams still in the hunt as well. Obviously, we're 13th, only 8 points off the playoffs, and there's still a good chunk of teams still involved. A lot of games still to play along in that top half. So there's going to be a lot of points dropped. So maybe Norwich can slip in between there. And hopefully get the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there is no doubt the fact we've been talking about it is fairly ridiculous, to be honest, because there is a massive gap to make up on the teams who are relying on a lot of points to be dropped, and Norwich not dropping pretty much any, to be honest. Interesting conversation from Daniel Farke today. We didn't get to speak to a player because it basically took Daniel quite a bit of time to come out, and he came out clutching a piece of paper which had precisely what Tom Trybull's injury was, but effectively ankle and knee ligaments, as I said, that won't need surgery. But he did, Daniel, touch on the players who can step in. he kind of mentioned that Maurice Leitner can play in a slightly deeper role at times. We saw that James Maddison played slightly deeper actually when Trybull went off on Saturday in that Middlesbrough game. James Maddison is fit for tomorrow, by the way. He's had a dead leg and hasn't trained since Wednesday, but has trained the last day or two, so he is fit and available, if not an ideal week, of course. So Maddison could maybe slip in there. Mario Vrancic, Farke thought was a little bit unlucky to be dropped out in recent weeks. And I guess it's not like they haven't played without Tom Trybull several times already this season.
No, but obviously in the games that we haven't had them, wins have been much harder to come by for us. And as Farke was saying today, we've got such a big squad, there's a lot of competition for places, so this could give someone like Vrancic a good run in the squad and really cement his place even for when Trybull comes back.
What have we got here? Ben Woodward, who does Alex Ferguson support? As in this Alex Ferguson. Who do you support, Alex?
Obviously Norwich City.
He is a Norwich boy. What else we got here? Luke Gillett. Alex voice is deeper than I thought it would be.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to say that when I look at me.
See, this is the quality of the engagement we get here on our Facebook Live. It's good stuff. Jay Sadler, major blow to hear about Tom Trybull, but gives us a chance for someone to come in and prove themselves. Be glad to see the new lads start tomorrow and also against Ipswich, which is an interesting point, Jay, because we had the PinkUn show, which you can watch on the YouTube channel and on the PinkUn.com, of course. Spoke to Steve Gedge about the team he would pick for the derby, not derby this weekend, but the derby the following weekend. And he said he would not start the new players this weekend to keep their powder dry and keep Ipswich guessing a little bit come the following weekend, which is, I don't know if that's exactly the sort of logic Daniel Farke would follow, but I definitely appreciate the logic.
Yeah, we've seen glimpses of two of them, obviously, Hernandez and Leitner. And Leitner's caused a lot of excitement, how composed he was on the ball, the time he got on the ball, obviously. He had a lot of time and space in the pitch against Middlesbrough, down to 10 men, weren't really pressing the game. But there's certainly a lot more to come from him. He's played for Dortmund, obviously. Was a bit unlucky there to lose out, lost his place. I mean, Dortmund had some incredible players at that time, so it's no surprise that he lost his place. And he's just hoping to recapture his form and hope that he can shoot off on his career again at Norwich. Yeah,
we're all seeing great signs of Morris, and they're clearly going to be bigger challenges ahead, but it's hard not to really like what we've seen so far. Michael Bailey's beard, hello there. I hope you appreciate I am sort of slightly coming back a little bit. Top six is not possible unless the beard's magic powers are allowed to develop and grow. Well, some would say that about Norwich City's players as well. Simon Meadows, do you think Daniel Farke will start Leitner with Trybull injured now, which is partly what we were just saying? I mean, it's a really interesting one who he plays. I probably imagine it would be Mario Vrancic on Saturday because he's played in that role before. He's had time and is pretty accustomed. He's played alongside Alex Tettey. That was the duo, the holding duo that worked at Bristol City in mid-January, wasn't it? So that probably represents a better balance, and then you don't start with Leitner. It's interesting how far off a start Moritz Leitner is, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't see him starting Leitner and Maddison together, although Maddison and Leitner can play in that role. I just think against the top side like Derby, it's going to be too risky. I'll go with Vrancic in that more defensive role.
And at least Alex Tettey is still fit, which is a good thing, and probably does heighten the need to keep Alex Tettey fit too. We're going to be another 5 minutes or so make sure you get those questions in. Luke Gillett, how close is Matt Jarvis? Any news? Well, yes. Paddy asked Daniel Farke about that today. Matt Jarvis is due to start team training next week. By all accounts, he's looking quite sharp, but they have made sure they've taken their time with that, because apparently they did step up the load and they just didn't want to give his muscles too much of a shock, which is fair enough. I imagine that Daniel Farke does work them in training, we'll see how that develops. But back in team training next week, which you might think in 2 or 3 weeks' time, maybe we'll get to see him somewhere close to a first team appearance, which would be something maybe some of us never thought we'd see again from Matt Jarvis.
Not at all.
A lot of bridges to cross yet, even just in terms of getting through training. Jez Arlo, apparently it's Trybull, Michael, although he's just written Trybull, so I mean it could be either, really, there, Jez. Rory Power, any coverage of the under-23s against Wolves in the Premier League Cup? It's at St George's Park. It's tonight, I think, isn't it? I don't think we are going to have much coverage, but keep an eye on PinkUn.com, which of course give you the updates. I'm sure if you have a look around hard enough, you'll be able to find live updates from the game. I imagine the football club will be there. On this occasion, Dave Freezer is on another assignment tonight. He will be somewhere else. I don't know if he's let on where he's going to be.
Not at all.
Do you know where he's going to be, Alex?
Anything at all.
Alex hasn't got a clue. So he might do. It's, exciting, of course, and maybe Dave Freezer will let on. If not, I'm sure you'll hear from it very soon. Of course, Dave will be with me and Paddy at the iPro Pride Park Stadium next season, which will be great. Thomas Wheatley, will Reed continue at right wing back? Yes, I believe that is probably the case. Ivo Pinto, good news with Ivo Pinto, wasn't it?
Certainly,
Alex, do you want to give it?
Yeah, Ivo Pinto's got back into team training. He's looked like he's getting there, almost there, probably not going to start. Yeah, Farke said he was looking at stage maybe half an hour towards the end of the game, but not quite there for starting yet. It'll be interesting to see whether he makes the Ipswich game next week. You'd hope so. Obviously, you want as many players available as possible, so fingers crossed he'll be available for that one.
Absolutely. So he is going to travel with the squad.
Certainly.
Mainly, he's going to have that impact, and I think Daniel Farke quite likes the leadership that Ivo can show and the experiences being part of the squad. So I reckon he'll be on the bench. Does sound like he'll be on the bench, just as a makeshift. So they might get half an hour of him. I mean, I hope the car has apologised to Ivo, because it's pretty nasty for all that to have happened. Let's have a look. Jez is now serious point other than the pronunciation of Tom. It's a hammer, it's a blow. However, it does give the chance for Mario to keep his spice. Yes, spice, because he was really playing well before Tom came back, which is a good point. Tom Trybull Mario Vrancic was playing well before Tom came back into the side, and Mario played a serious role in that win at Brentford. So it's not like these guys can't step in. It's just, and in truth, there is a lot of competition around at the moment. I mean, there's competition. It's a big player to miss Tom Trybull, but there are a lot of players who are missing out on 18s at the moment who wouldn't want to.
No, not at all. When you're a player, obviously you want to play as much as possible, and Farke was saying that there's no player out there on the training pitch just giving 10%. They're all giving 100%. They know the competition's there. They've got to prove it to him during the week that they deserve to be starting and playing at the weekend.
Marcus Edwards, I don't think he's much closer to starting, mainly probably because of that competition. I expect we'll maybe see him at some point. As I say, I don't get the impression that we'll see Dennis Shrabrini starting, because it'll be Nelson Oliveira who'll get that gig, and quite possibly Josh Murphy will carry on. So the new guys are probably going to have to keep being patient, knowing that the pressure on them, the guys who are starting to keep delivering, or maybe start delivering in some cases, will certainly intensify as things develop. Simon Meadows, what's my views on Stuart Webber interview part 1? To be honest, I haven't seen it yet. Have you had a chance to see it?
No, I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen it yet, just because partly I left my microphone at Colney today, so I've had to nip back and get that. You can see what Daniel Farke had to say on Tom Trybull's injury and previewing tomorrow's game. That's all on the PinkUn YouTube channel. I look forward to seeing the Stuart Webber video too. I'm sure he was very articulate, and I would imagine logical in what he was saying. And what I found from speaking to Stuart Webber in the past is that he explains things very well, and you tend to listen to him and go, yeah, fair enough. So I look forward to seeing that. I hope all the good questions got asked. Hashtag Ask Webber. So I look forward to seeing that. Richard Caston forecast for tomorrow. 1-0 for us, I would say. 1-0 win would be a phenomenal result, because this is a really tough place to go. And as was actually being described by Daniel Farke today, they're probably the most experienced side in the Championship. Oldest squad, which is something Brighton had last year. They have conceded the fewest goals this season as well. So when Norwich do get a chance, they'll need to take it, which is something they didn't do at the game at Carrow Road. So
no, you'd have liked to see him score a few more goals, obviously, against the side with 10 men, but it was all about getting that win. It'll be interesting this weekend. Obviously, Derby, they haven't lost for 11 games. The last time they lost was at home to Ipswich. So hopefully, I'd like to say we could get a 1-0 win. We've won a lot of games 1-0 this season.
If it's going to be anything, it'll be 1-0 probably.
Farke was highlighting the importance of getting the first goal.
Yeah.
You feel like if we get that first goal, he could shut up shop like he's done plenty of times this season.
Be a very nice result, but we'll probably take a point. Just to emphasise, I think if people do want Norwich to finish in the top 6, I reckon they can only afford to drop points in 4 more games this year. Away at Derby, probably one of the ones you might assume that would happen. So it's going to be a pretty tricky game. Bradley Johnson's out injured, I believe, but Cameron Jerome will, of course, probably start. I think he started like last weekend, got his first goal as well, and Daniel was sure that he will kick on after that first goal, and I think he's quite glad that he wasn't waiting until Norwich came along to score his first goal.
Certainly was. He said a lot of times players come back to haunt their old clubs for their first goal, so it was relieved that he didn't that he did score last week.
And I mean, Derby were a little bit lucky when they came up against Norwich at Carrow Road, because Norwich had just taken on Arsenal. Derby had 8 days, I think, without a game, and it did kind of show at times, even though Marco Stiepermann should have put Norwich ahead early on in that game. So there we go. John, Messi guest, hello there, John. Is Houlihan retiring at the end of the season? I don't believe he's retiring from club football. I think he's retiring from international football, probably to elongate his club career. Whether it's going to be at Carrow Road or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. There might well be a line in that from Webber today, so keep an eye out. As I said, around 6 o'clock that stuff will break, PinkUn.com, and you'll be able to hear some of that in terms of Paddy's chat with Stuart Webber. Any chance James Maddison could stay with us the way Houlihan has? If Norwich go up and then stay in the Premier League, probably. That's all I got. We'll have to see. Callum Davison, he's realised your name is Alex Ferguson, so he's enjoyed that. There you go, Alex. Jamie Mordecai, I hope that's right. What's the point of getting Edwards in if we don't give him a chance? Interesting one, this. It seems like a free hit. It seems like it's an English homegrown player that Norwich can play when maybe they were afraid that they might get a bit close to breaking those homegrown rules, which I think they have come quite close to doing in January. So there's that. And it's that free hit, I guess, because it's probably not cost them much. But he does seem a little bit down the pecking order and not really in consideration.
It was one of the earlier signings in January and hasn't made the starting 11 at all. I'm not sure if he's made the squad.
Yet,
no, I didn't think so. And it would be nice to see him, obviously, but only time will tell if he'll get a run of games.
Callum Davison asks Leitner straight in for Trybull. I mean, I can't see that being a straight swap because I think they're quite different players, although Moritz or Mo has that bits of that in his game. I would only really see Leitner's playing further up field. That said, Daniel did today say that he could see him playing deeper. So we'll have to see. I don't think I'd want to see it. Would be my inclination.
No, I'd agree with you.
But then with you'd probably say that about Mario as well. And Mario did start playing there, but it took him time. So I think what Daniel did say is they would play the roles very differently because Maurice Leitner is great at keeping the ball, beating presses and that sort of stuff, which is quite handy, but that's not necessarily why you need a second holder in the Championship. So there we go. Mel Bogan, are there any lingering hopes of the playoffs are any lingering hopes of the playoffs over if we lose tomorrow, or if we win, are they back on? Alex?
I think it's still too early to say at this stage. If Bristol City or another side who is occupying that sixth spot were to lose as well, then no change. If we win and Bristol City win, no change. It's really looking on those other results at this stage. We can't just go off our own results, unfortunately.
Michael Bailey's beard asks if I'm wearing double denim. You can't tell, can you? I could have football shorts on below my table, for all you know. I'll leave that to your imagination. Simon Meadows, it's a personal view, but Stuart Webber interview is very honest and shows the direction the club is going in a very positive, progressive way. Good to hear your thoughts, Simon. I look forward to seeing part 1. I think there's a few different videos that will be going up to keep tabs on, so that's all good. I'm trying to think if we've missed anything off today's press conference, but I can't think of anything. I asked whether the under-18s FA Youth Cup success had sort of filtered in around the place, and Daniel Farke was very positive about that, which is good. He doesn't think that he's got too many in his squad now, given that he actually had 23 people training. So, he obviously is happy with where he is and where his team are at the moment, and they're in a good run of form. Don't forget, 5 wins out of 7 in the Championship, only 1 defeat in 9 in all competitions. We should head to Derby in positive frame of mind, and I think that's what we'll do, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy with that?
Yeah, I am.
Good debut?
Yeah, it was. Not too bad. Didn't mess up.
Good. Well, no, it's perfectly fine. Really enjoyed you having you in, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Good luck with the course.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, me, David and Paddy will all be heading over to Derby in the morning. We'll keep you abreast with all the build-up, live coverage, of course, at PinkUn.com, fallout, reaction and analysis afterwards too. As always, as for every Norwich City weekend, and as I said, if you want to hear more of what Daniel Farke had to say at Colney today, and Stuart Webber with Paddy, then check out PinkUn.com through the rest of the evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Night.